software, such as handling daily routines and vocational training. So all these kind of software or how to do this procedurally are what we need. Apart from that, everything is already there. So in conclusion, well, I just have a very short conclusion. I vote, therefore I can. In other words, social inclusion is indeed feasible and given the opportunity and support. Okay. Thank you. So the last speaker just talked about you can, but I'm more provocative. I say I can. Okay. So I'm sorry that I'm sitting down, so I won't be able to see everybody. But one advantage is that I won't be able to see the warning sign by the volunteer that they are only about 3 minutes. So the presentation outline. We are going to talk about the various challenges for people with autism spectrum disorders. The most famous guy, of course, is Adrian Monk. We're also going to talk about him later on. And then we are going to talk about the new solutions in this kind of new paradigm. And I know that everyone wants to have lunch early. So in order to stop people from doing that, I have plenty of slides. I have more than 100 pictures showing so that everyone will be so interested that they skip lunch. So just explain what SAHK, no, it used to be called the Spastics Association of Hong Kong, but we felt that is rather old-fashioned, so now these days we call it SAHK. And we are an NGO for 46 years already, and we support people with a physical or intellectual disability owing to impairment of the nervous system. So typically, traditionally, it was called people with spastics impairment. And we have 56 service units supporting more than 4,500 persons with a disability annually. So, what is autism spectrum disorder? As you all know, Adrian Monk, he has significant impairments in social communication and interaction skills, so it's difficult for him to interact with the outside world. He's more himself rather than with the outside world, and his interests will be very restricted, like for example, he is more detective than anybody else, and he wants to have things done repetitively. See? This is what he's now doing now, counting the number of spoons and forks. But then, these guys tend to be visual learners. They learn things visually. They don't understand what people speak. So that's why, well, actually, they are not alone. You and I also like pictures more than words. So a picture is more than 1,000 words. So they understand what they see much better than what they hear. So that is why you all know that this guy, Dr. Kruger, never managed to communicate with Adrian Monk because he always talks with him, never shows him any pictures and this kind. So this guy died young at the age of 65, I think, without understanding this whole problem. And so augmentative and alternative communication aids will be required. So this talk is exactly about this kind of aid. So mainly is we're using visual strategies and visual modeling, to solve their problems. So what kind of visual strategies? The most traditional way would be to have storyboards. Okay, so we give storyboards telling the guys how to behave correctly, and unfortunately, it's more appropriate for young children than adults, whereas we are treating adults like Adrian Monk. Okay, so we cannot treat clients like Adrian Monk using this kind of childlike pictures. You will notice I use red dots for something that we don't like. Okay, so look out for those red dots. And another way would be to have activity procedure for activity schedules. Like for example, this one tells you how to go to the marginal transit railway system. Okay, so a step-by-step approach. But this is not suitable for outdoor activity. How can you bring the whole board to show to the client how to take MTR? Okay, so this defeats exactly the purpose of teaching how to hold the MTR. So one way would be to use commission books. So these are personalized books. Everyone would have their own books because they need to be, we need to understand what kind of problems and what kind of concerns and what kind of issues, what kind of expectations they're having. And now, these are not meant to be shown to the other people. This is just to train the client so that when they need to talk, they will talk according to what I expressed in these books. But all these kind of commission books would carry stigmatization, discrimination. People look down upon people who need to carry it. Why do you need to carry this kind of book before you can talk? See, for example, if you go to McDonald's, well, they ask you, what do you want? That's hold it. I look at my book and say, I want a Big Mac. So this would be a way of discriminating. I mean, people will be stigmatized. But why do we stigmatize? Are we not doing this kind of thing all the time? Do we all rely on conventional wisdom? You and I all rely on conventional wisdom. It's just we hide them. What kind of conventional wisdom? A lot of us rely on Holy Bible. Okay? Yeah, some of you nod your head. And if you say some come from mainland, you don't believe in the Holy Bible. You believe in the words of Jeremiah. Okay? So you do have conventional wisdom that you rely on. So why do we discriminate against one group of people who have a similar kind of need? But then, in the new paradigm, we don't behave this way. How many of you are bringing your Holy Bible with you? And how many of you are bringing your thoughts of Jeremiah with you in your pocket? Yeah. Nobody. Okay? But we refer to advice every minute. What kind of advice? Do you refer to this one? No. Do you refer to this one? No. You refer to the internet every minute. So that's why the use of the iPhone would be the appropriate tool for people to communicate. We all communicate through iPhone, right? Okay. My sons and daughters and students all communicate through iPhone. I'm old-fashioned. I just use a conventional mobile telephone. Anyway, so rather than giving these guys a commission book, why don't we give them an iPhone? Okay, in this way, we will achieve social inclusion and dignity. Okay, so this is what we are trying to do in SAP. So that's why I say iPhone, therefore I can. So we use a lot of these iPhone applications in order to enhance social and vocational training. So we train them in handling daily routines through the iPhones. We train them in vocational training. We train them in scheduling. We train them in route finding, all through the use of iPhones. I'll give you some examples. So the first tool that we were trying to look at was Protocol 2Go, and it costs around $200 US, and it helps you to compose sentences from pictures. You click a series of pictures, and then it will compose a group of sentences for you, and then it will turn these into speech, so the iPhone will speak for you. But is this what we want? It's more suitable for people with speech impairment. It's not suitable for people with autism, because these guys can speak like you and I. It's only that they don't know what to say. Okay, rather than they don't know how to speak. Okay, so we don't need an iPhone that will speak. Okay, and the other thing is spoken Chinese is not supported. So they will have the same kind of problem as some of you guys who cannot speak Chinese in Hong Kong. Exactly the same problem. So rather than doing that, why don't we use a much cheaper tool? This one just costs us $10 US. Okay, so for the price of a cup of coffee. So you can have this tool, and the whole world of these clients will be changed. So we give you a first case study where we train the guys to go to the supermarket. So we have a series of step-by-step approach, and once the guy has finished one step, what they need to do is just click, you tick, and then it will go to the next one. So after going to the supermarket, then you are instructed to get to the trolley. So the things on the right-hand side will be ticked. So the next action will be shown. So try to get the trolley, try to locate the product, and try to put the products into the trolley, line at the sales counter, pay at the sales counter, and put into the carrying bag, and return the trolley. That's it. Okay, so based on this series of procedures, the clients will then be able to do a step-by-step thing on the spot, not in the training hostel, but in the real supermarket. So these pictures are taken illegally at the supermarket because we were not allowed to make films or take pictures in the supermarket. But anyway, don't keep this within these 4 walls. Okay, so the people who have difficulty going to supermarket can now go using the iPhone, and then they just follow the procedure step by step. Will these guys look peculiar? No. All youngsters are doing this, concentrating more on the iPhone than anything else. Okay, so these guys don't look different, right? Yes. So then they would locate the product. So these 3 pictures are the most problematic because we are not supposed to take any picture during the in the shelves. Okay, and then paying at the sales counter and returning the trolley. Okay, so they managed to do this in a step-by-step fashion, and we shortened the training very, very much. So it is a very, very positive experience. Similarly, we also did vocational training. So we trained the guys to weigh the bottles, and again, we have a series of steps. Mind you, these, although it looks like we have more steps, but in fact, training for vocational purposes is easier because they get the training inside the hostel, inside the working place. Whereas training for the supermarket is more difficult because it's for in an unfriendly environment and in the outside world. Anyway, another thing that we talked about, we tried is that we gave the clock application, which is just a standard built-in application in iPhone, and we set an alarm for such events, such as when to take lunch, when to go to bed, and when to take medicine, and this kind of thing. The problem is that they use this phone as a friend for all purposes, not just for one purpose, like going to the supermarket. And we also offer video playback. Again, this is a built-in application, and the facility to clients to learn how to do new jobs. But then, it's not critical for clients who need a step-by-step procedure to do things. So the other step-by-step approach seemed to be better. And we also allow them to have a GPS and street maps so that they know where to go to if they are employed in the real world. And for those of you who may have some intellectual disability, we also offer a GPS tracker so that we can locate them in case they are lost. Last week I talked to some social worker, and one of these concerns is, would iPhone be too expensive? Of course, it costs a lot of money. But then how come my son, my daughter, my students are all using iPhones with rather cheap phones? Because it serves different purposes. It serves as a social inclusion. It serves as a dignity. It's a trend. So everyone is using that. So why don't we allow people with ASD disabilities to use that also? So the benefit would be invaluable. The benefit would be priceless.